Welcome to Castillo San Cristobal.
It looks like a witch's hat. Turn around.
As you can see, Phoenix was going through it. The wind and weather was no joke that day, and the umbrella took a major hit. We ended up tossing it and just braved the rain like the troopers we are. I mean, to be fair, I feel like at that point the umbrella was more of a hindrance than a help. We are wrapping up our series for Puerto Rico, and today we are touring Castillo San Cristobal. Welcome to our channel, where we travel the world as a family and share the experience with you. It's me, Renee, the hubby Joel, and Phoenix, our daughter. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to see where we end up next. For those of you that are new to our channel, we love to share history of the places we visit, not just the sites. Our series on Puerto Rico has a playlist, and in it, you can find where to eat, where to stay, the coolest places to visit, and learn some history along the way. Let's dig into the details about Castillo San Cristobal. Built by the Spanish in the 18th century and named after the patron saint of land travelers, St. Christopher, it is considered the largest fortress in the Americas. San Cristobal was built to protect San Juan from land threat, adding an extra protection to the already built San Felipe del Morro that provided protection from sea attacks. Castillo San Cristobal is considered the great guardian of Old San Juan. If El Morro is the sentinel looking out to sea, San Cristobal is the bulwark that watches over the land. It's enormous, layered, and a deliberate machine of stone built to stop armies from marching into the city. A few quick headline facts to orient you. As I said before, San Cristobal is the largest Spanish fortification in the Americas. It covers roughly 27 acres on the eastern side of San Juan. And it's not just full of history, it's dramatic as well. Some descriptions note that the fortification walls rise up to 150 feet at their highest points. Its outerworks, batteries, and dry moats were built to create depth and obstacles to all enemies who approached. What you see today is the result of more than 150 years of construction and modification, started in the early 1600s and reaching its final form in the late 1700s. Now seems like a great time to talk about the tunnels of San Cristobal. Beneath the massive stone walls and sweeping ramparts lies an entire underground world, a network of tunnels, cisterns, chambers, and covered passages that are never seen from above. And these tunnels weren't an afterthought. They were part of the original engineer's strategy to build a fort that could withstand a full siege and move soldiers safely and store resources out of harm's way. Let me add here, these are not random doodles. These are detailed, deliberate sketches of sailing vessels made by prisoners. Although the exact identity of the artists are unknown, historians believe the drawings were made by Spanish soldiers who were imprisoned for misconduct, privateers, really think pirates, or enemies captured during skirmishes, or lastly, maybe local men arrested under Spanish rule. And make no mistake, they are unmistakably 18th and 19th century sailing vessels. And history here is literally written on the walls. So why did Castillo San Cristobal take so long to build? Well, other than its huge work began in small piecemeal ways. In fact, a triangular redoubt and some other smaller works date to the early 1600s. The major expansion and building campaigns happened between roughly 1766 and 1783 under the direction of Thomas O'Daly, Juan Francisco Mitre, and they were working under the reign of King Charles III. So, the 150 years is really intermittent work and can also explain the many layers of design, from medieval to 18th century bastioned systems. Castillo San Cristóbal was built on a hill originally known as Cerro de la Horca, or Gallows Hill. While specific records do not indicate who lost their lives here, and some historians believe naming the hill after the gallows could have been intended as a stark warning, we can all agree it's a name strongly implying that this was a place of death long before the fort was built.
This is cool.
It's interesting to note that what you see now is not all of what used to be here. The entrances to San Cristobal were originally protected by 2 gates and drawbridges. After close to 100 years of relative peace, these sections were demolished in 1897 to help ease the flow of traffic in and out of the city.
Yeah, but I didn't want to take the elevator. No.
Let me add here, that was a steep incline, and there is an elevator for those that need it, but what would a visit to a fort be without walking through all of the tunnels?
And that, that's where we went down. Okay.
I was so out of breath. I really should exercise more. Since I'm huffing and puffing, and it feels like this place just goes up and up forever, let's chat about the levels of San Cristobal. It's 3 major levels. The lower level, or the outer defenses, the middle level, consisting of casements and tunnels, and the upper level, which is the Plaza del Armas and main battlements. And just to be clear, that's 3 main levels, but it really feels like 5 or 6, since the terraces are stacked on top of each other. It's like climbing through a vertical puzzle with ramps, staircases, terraces, and overlapping defense platforms. Let's talk about these walls. The engineers worked with what the island gave them: local sandstone, brick, lime, and clay, and they act like giant shock absorbers. The outer part of the walls are made of stone, and that's the part you see today. Behind those walls, the builders dumped tons of compacted earth, sand, broken stone, and rubble to create a solid mass. And the reason those walls are angled is so cannonballs would skip or deflect rather than punch straight through. They were one of the first lines of defense for the city, and they were built to last. So, funny story, I once told the hubby Joel to not hold the camera so close to his face so it wouldn't pick up breathing. And here I am, listening to my heavy breathing along with y'all, embarrassed that I'm not listening to my own advice. thing you'll notice while walking through San Cristobal is the angles on top of angles, terraces stepping down in layers, and walls curving and folding onto each other. And what that meant was there were no blind spots and no easy approach. As we're touring San Cristobal, it's easy to tell that some of these parts were added much later. For example, the fire lookouts are part of 20th century modifications when the U.S. Army took control of the island. Let's do some quick back history. Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory and was an important strategic point during the Spanish-American War and later during World War I and II. After the Spanish-American War, San Cristobal becomes part of the U.S. Coastal Defense Network. And most of the modern major additions, like the fire lookout you're standing in now, happened during World War II because German U-boats were active in the Caribbean shipping lanes. During World War II, these fire control stations were added to coordinate artillery defenses, and some of the giant cisterns were repurposed as bomb shelters.
Hey. Oh,
It's not there. Oh, that's pretty.
I'm coming. I'm going to go in there in just a minute. I'm going to come over here and turn around. All right, I'll be back.
Behold the officers' quarters. Stylistically, it's late 18th century utilitarian military classical architecture, but with some refined formal touches that are typical of the Spanish colonial military buildings of this era. And what does that mean? Well, to put it bluntly, it means that the building is practical first and pretty second. And here's some fun facts. These quarters are built on top of 5 large cisterns that held up to 870,000 gallons of water. And they are located in what is called the Plaza del Armas, which was the main plaza. They were built in 1775 as a main living and working area for officers separate from the enlisted men. At its height, San Cristobal had dozens of mounted cannons in varying calibers. The heavy guns on the higher platforms covered wider approaches, and smaller, more maneuverable artillery in the outer works created overlapping arcs of fire. San Cristobal proved its worth more than once. In 1797, British forces under General Ralph Abercrombie, yes, like the store, launched an attempted invasion of San Juan, and the combined fortifications of El Morro and San Cristobal thwarted his attempt, which was one of many times San Juan's forts did the job they were built to do. Let's talk about one of the more famous parts of San Cristobal, the Devil's Sentry Box. The Devil's Sentry Box is part of a triangular outwork and dates back to the early phase of the fort between 1634 and 1644. The name has a story, or rather it has a few. It could be named from its very isolated position, perched by the sea and battered by the wind and waves constantly. And the guards assigned there have told stories of uneasiness. But on the other hand, according to a local legend, a soldier named Sanchez was on duty one night and vanished without a trace. Some versions of the story say he met his lover there in secret, and others claim that the devil himself dragged Sanchez away. People say that if you go there at night, and I'm going to be honest, after looking at that location, I would never go there at night. But if you do, you might hear his guitar playing and his laughter, as though he's mocking the legend forever. Castillo San Cristóbal is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, but it's not a standalone site. What that means is it's part of the La Fortaleza and San Juan National Historic Site, which includes other structures such as Castillo San Felipe del Morro, and there's a video of that included in our playlist for San Juan, as well as the city walls and the fort of San Juan de la Cruz. Castillo San Cristóbal is managed by the U.S. National Park Service, and although while we were here there was a skeleton crew due to the government shutdown, they normally hold tours. And if you have a national park stamps passport book, make sure to get it stamped. Pro travel tip about visiting Puerto Rico. We tried to do both the forts in just a few days, and it was a lot, and we definitely didn't get to see all of it. If you're planning to travel to Puerto Rico, I would plan to spend 3 to 4 days near the El Yunque rainforest and visiting Vieques, and then hop on over to Old San Juan to spend another 3 to 4 days. And just to be clear, you've still missed most of the island if you only spend 6 to 8 days. Puerto Rico is worth at least 2 solid weeks if you'd like to see all the island has to offer. Back to San Cristobal. So why does San Cristobal still matter? Well, other than I love history, and walking in this place ties me to the people who lived here so many years ago and the lives that they led and lost. But scale becomes real. Pictures don't often do justice to the places we visit. Think of all the pictures you've seen of the Grand Canyon. If you haven't been, I can assure you, the pictures do not even come close to the awe-inspiring beauty of it all. And that is just like here. Seeing the maps of how large San Cristobal and El Morro are really don't prepare you for how long it takes to try and see it all. Thanks so much for joining us on another adventure. Make sure to hit the subscribe button to see where we end up next.